Picture this. You're standing in line at the ATM and suddenly the screen goes blank. You check your phone, no signal. You drive to the bank, doors locked. This isn't some Hollywood movie. Ask anyone who lived through Venezuela's hyperinflation or Hurricane Katrina. When the system breaks, cash becomes just fancy paper. But you know what never loses value? The ability to trade what people desperately need. My neighbor, Tom, learned this the hard way during the 2021 Texas freeze. While everyone else was panicking with useless credit cards, he traded a single lighter for hot soup that kept his kids warm. That lighter cost him 50 cents. That soup, priceless. So here's the question I want you thinking about as we go through this list. What do you have in your house right now that could save your family when everything else fails? And more importantly, what are you missing? Let's dive into 15 items that seem ordinary today, but become pure gold when society hits the pause button. The wake-up call nobody wants. Look, I'm not trying to scare you, but let's be real for a second. Remember when toilet paper vanished overnight in 2020? That wasn't even a real collapse, just fear. Imagine what happens during an actual supply chain breakdown. One cyber attack, one major port closure, one grid failure, and suddenly your grocery store looks like a movie set after the apocalypse. I've talked to preppers who lived through the Bosnian War. They'll tell you straight, gold bars don't mean squat when you need antibiotics. That fancy watch? Nobody cares. But the guy with coffee, batteries, or duct tape, he's the king. Here's what most people get dangerously wrong. They think survival trading means guns and silver coins. But ask yourself this, can you split a gold coin to buy bread? Can your kids eat bullets? Real barter power comes from the small stuff, the things people touch, use, and run out of every single day. So before your uncle starts commenting about doomsday preppers being paranoid, remember this. These 15 items aren't conspiracy theories. They're proven essentials from every major disaster on record. And honestly, they're so cheap right now that not grabbing them is the real gamble. Ready? Let's start with something so simple, you probably have 5 of them in your junk drawer right now. Number 15, lighters and waterproof matches, the currency of warmth. Remember camping as a kid? That moment when someone forgot matches and suddenly the whole trip depended on finding a way to start a fire? Now multiply that panic by 1,000. That's what happens when the power grid fails. Here's what blows my mind. A single Bic lighter costs less than a coffee, but after a disaster, I've seen people trade an entire meal for one. Why? Because fire isn't just about roasting marshmallows. It's survival, it's cooking, it's clean water, it's staying warm enough to see another morning. My friend Sarah, who went through the California wildfires, told me something chilling. She said, when we evacuated, people were begging, literally begging for lighters at the shelter. Not food, not water, fire. Because when you're cold, wet, and scared, being able to create warmth is everything. Here's your move. Go buy a 50-pack of Bic lighters right now. They're like $15. Toss them in a drawer. Each one becomes a mini gold bar when disaster strikes. Add some waterproof matches, the kind that light even when they're soaked, and you're suddenly the most popular person in any crisis camp. Pro tip from an actual survivalist I know. Store them with cotton balls dipped in petroleum jelly. Each ball becomes a fire starter that burns for several minutes. Bundle a lighter with 5 of these, and you've got a trade package worth its weight in food. Think about it. How many lighters do you have at home right now? Drop a number in the comments. I'm betting most of you said 0 or 1. Time to change that. Number 14, sewing kits and needles, the forgotten lifesaver. This one hits different when you really think about it. Imagine your winter jacket tears. Right now, no big deal. Order another one online. But what happens when Amazon stops delivering and stores are emptied out? My grandmother survived World War II in Europe, and she always said the same thing. The people who could sew never went hungry. Because when your only coat has a hole, when your boots are falling apart, when your tent rips in a storm, the person with a needle and thread becomes your best friend. Here's a real story that'll make you think. A guy I follow online was in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Power was out for months. He had stockpiled food and water like everyone told him to. But you know what he didn't have? A way to fix his torn rain tarp. One small rip turned into a gaping hole. His supplies got soaked. He said he would have traded a week's worth of food for a simple sewing kit.
The beautiful thing about needles and thread, they're basically indestructible. A tiny tin of needles, some heavy-duty thread, maybe a few buttons and patches, fits in your palm, costs maybe $5, and could literally save your life, or trade for life-saving supplies. Here's what's smart. Buy those big variety packs with different needle sizes. Heavy-duty ones for canvas and leather, fine ones for clothing. Throw in some wax thread. It's waterproof and tough. You can pre-make little repair kits, bundle them with a safety pin and a button, and suddenly you've got dozens of trade items ready to go. Quick question for everyone. Do you know where your family's sewing kit is right now? And when's the last time you actually checked if it's usable? Let me know in the comments, because I'm willing to bet most people have no idea. Number 13. Duct tape and multi-purpose tape, the miracle material. There's a running joke among preppers. Duct tape and WD-40 can fix literally anything. If it moves and shouldn't, use duct tape. If it doesn't move and should, use WD-40. But here's the thing, it's not really a joke. Let me tell you about my cousin Mike. During a bad storm, his roof tarp came loose. Hardware store? Closed. Home improvement store? Cleaned out. His neighbor had one roll of Gorilla Tape left. Mike traded 2 days' worth of generator run time for that roll. And you know what? It was worth it. That tape kept his house dry for 2 weeks until repairs could happen. Think about how fast things break down without replacements. Your tent tears, your water container cracks, your shoes split, your tarp gets a hole. Every single one of those problems gets solved by tape. And not just solved, sealed tight, waterproof, and holding strong. Here's the thing nobody realizes until it's too late. Regular duct tape is good, but specialty tapes are better. Gorilla Tape is stronger. Flex tape is waterproof. Electrical tape has its own uses. And the best part? You can cut a full roll into smaller sections for trading. Not everyone needs a whole roll, but everyone needs some. I keep at least 10 rolls in my prep stash. Different types, different sizes. They're stored in a cool, dry spot so the adhesive stays fresh. And let me tell you, when something breaks in a crisis, the person with tape becomes the most popular person around. True story. During Texas's freeze, my buddy couldn't find any pipe wrap. His pipes were about to burst. A contractor had duct tape. The trade? A generator for 2 hours in exchange for 3 rolls of tape. That's the power of something most people have under their sink right now. So here's my challenge. Count how many rolls of tape you have at home. 1, 2, none. Whatever it is, double it. Trust me. Comment your number below. Let's see who's actually prepared. Number 12. Paracord and strong rope, the invisible lifeline. If you've ever talked to military veterans or serious outdoorsmen, they'll tell you, paracord is life. And I mean that literally. This stuff was designed for parachutes in World War II, meant to hold human weight while plummeting from the sky. Now imagine what it can do for your survival setup. My friend Jake is a wilderness guide, and he once told me, give me 50 feet of paracord and I can build a shelter, catch food, secure gear, and even fashion a tourniquet if someone gets hurt. That's 6 different survival functions from one piece of rope. Here's what makes this brilliant for barter. It's endlessly divisible. You buy a 1,000-foot spool for maybe $30. Then you cut it into 50-foot sections. That's 20 high-value trade items right there. People don't need 1,000 feet. They need enough to tie down a tarp, hang a clothesline, or secure supplies to a cart. Real-life example. During Hurricane Harvey, a family needed to secure their evacuation supplies to their vehicle. They had no rope, no bungee cords, nothing. Their neighbor had paracord. The trade? Fresh water bottles for 25 feet of cord. Both sides won. But here's what's crazy. It's not just for tying things. paracord can be unraveled into inner strands for fishing line, sewing thread, or snare traps. It's like a Swiss Army knife in rope form. And don't forget regular rope, twine, and bungee cords. Each type has different uses. Jute for general tasks, nylon for strength, clothesline for hanging things. When everything needs to be tied down, lifted, pulled, or secured, rope becomes currency. Storage tip: keep it dry, away from sunlight, coiled neatly. It'll last decades. And when chaos hits and everyone's trying to hold their world together, you'll literally be the person holding all the strings. Be honest in the comments. How much rope or paracord do you actually have stored? I'm betting most of you are scrambling to answer.
Number 11. Basic first aid supplies, the silent lifesavers. Let me paint you a picture. It's 3 days after a major disaster. Hospitals are overwhelmed, pharmacies are cleaned out, your kid scrapes their knee badly. It's not life-threatening, but without a clean bandage and antibiotic ointment, that scrape could turn into a serious infection. Suddenly, a $2 box of Band-Aids becomes worth more than $20 of cash. This isn't theoretical. I know a nurse who worked during Hurricane Katrina. She said the biggest shortage wasn't morphine or ventilators, it was basic wound care. Gauze, bandages, alcohol wipes, antibiotic cream, the simple stuff that keeps small problems from becoming deadly ones. Here's the thing about medical supplies. They're about dignity and safety. When everything's falling apart, people want to protect their families. A parent will trade almost anything for something that stops their child's bleeding or prevents infection. My uncle, who's a retired paramedic, keeps multiple first aid kits, not just for his family, but for trading. He bundles them: 2 adhesive bandages, a pack of gauze, medical tape, a tube of ointment, and a couple of alcohol pads. Each bundle fits in a sandwich bag. He has dozens of them. And you know what? During the 2020 panic, he traded 3 of those bundles for fresh eggs, bread, and batteries. The brilliant part? This stuff is insanely cheap right now. Go to any dollar store or pharmacy. Generic boxes of supplies cost pennies. But after a collapse, priceless. And unlike medications, you're not dealing with prescriptions, dosages, or legal gray areas. Everyone understands the value of a clean bandage. Storage is easy too. Keep them dry and cool. They don't expire quickly if sealed properly. And when the time comes, you'll control one of the most valuable resources after water and food, the ability to stay healthy. Do you have a proper first aid kit at home? And I don't mean that dusty box from 10 years ago. I mean a current, stocked kit? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Let's see how prepared we really are. Number 10. Survival candles and emergency wax. Light in the darkness. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine it's 8 p.m. The power's been out for 3 days. No streetlights, no phone chargers. Complete darkness. Your flashlight batteries died yesterday. The silence is heavy, and so is the fear. Then, someone hands you a candle. That tiny flame suddenly feels like everything. I don't think people understand how deeply darkness affects you until they've experienced a real blackout. Not an hour, days, weeks. My colleague lived through the 2003 Northeast blackout. She said the mental toll of sitting in pitch black every night was worse than the heat or the food shortages. A single candle changed everything. Not just light, but hope. Survival candles aren't like regular birthday candles. These things burn for 8, 12, even 36 hours straight. Some are designed to last days. They don't need electricity, batteries, or fuel. They just work. And when the grid fails, that reliability becomes priceless. Here's where wax becomes genius. You can melt it to create new candles. You can waterproof gear with it, seal containers, lubricate stuck tools or zippers. One small block of wax becomes light, repairs, and protection, all in one. Real story. A prepper I know experienced a week-long winter blackout. His neighborhood was pitch black and freezing. He had survival candles stocked. He'd light one in the evening, not just for light, but to keep morale up. His kids could do homework.
His wife could read. They could see each other's faces. That sense of normalcy worth more than gold. The crazy part? You can buy bulk candles and wax blocks right now for almost nothing. But after a widespread power failure, one candle could trade for a hot meal or a warm blanket, because people underestimate how much they need light until it's gone. Pro tip: store them with matches or lighters in airtight containers. Keep them in a cool, dry place. And when the lights go out everywhere else, you'll be the beacon people flock to. Here's my question for you. How many candles do you have at home right now? And how long would they actually last in a real emergency? Be honest in the comments. Let's see how prepared we really are. Number 9. Water purification tablets and bleach, the ultimate lifeline. Let's get brutally real for a moment. You can survive 3 weeks without food. Maybe longer if you're tough. But water? 3 days. Maybe 4 if you're lucky. And here's the kicker. It's not just about having water, it's about having clean water. My friend's brother was in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. He said people were drinking from puddles, rivers, anywhere they could find moisture. Within days, cholera spread like wildfire. The people who had water purification tablets, they became the most valuable people in camp. Not the ones with food, not the ones with weapons, the ones who could make water safe.
Think about it. When disaster strikes, where's your water coming from? The tap stops working, bottled water sells out in hours. Suddenly, you're looking at rivers, rain barrels, maybe even questionable wells, all filled with bacteria, parasites, and things that'll make you sicker than you can imagine. That's where purification tablets become pure gold. Drop one in a liter of sketchy water, wait 30 minutes, and boom, drinkable. Each tablet costs pennies, but could literally save a life. And they're tiny, lightweight, and last for years if stored properly. Bleach is the unsung hero here. Unscented household bleach, just a few drops, can sanitize gallons of water. It can also disinfect wounds in emergencies, clean tools, and sterilize surfaces during disease outbreaks. A single bottle stored correctly lasts over a year and can purify hundreds of gallons. Here's a story that'll stick with you. During the Flint water crisis, families couldn't trust their tap water for years. The ones who had bleach and purification tablets didn't have to stand in line for hours hoping for bottled water shipments. They had independence, control, safety. And let's be clear, this isn't about luxury, it's about survival. When people realize the water around them is poison without treatment, they'll trade almost anything for something that makes it safe. Food, supplies, tools. Because without water, nothing else matters. Storage is simple. Keep tablets in airtight containers away from sunlight. Keep bleach sealed in a cool, dark spot. Both take up almost no space, but solve one of humanity's most fundamental needs. So here's my challenge. Do you have any water purification method at home right now? Tablets, bleach, a filter, anything? Comment below. I'm genuinely curious how many people are truly prepared for this. Number 8. Solar chargers and small panels. Power from thin air. Imagine this. The power's been out for a week. Your phone is dead, your flashlight is dead, your radio, the only way to hear emergency updates, is dead. You're sitting in the dark with no information, no communication, completely cut off. Now imagine your neighbor walks over with a small solar panel and offers to charge your phone for a can of soup. You'd take that trade in a heartbeat. That's the power of solar in a collapsed world. It's literally printing electricity from sunlight. And unlike batteries that die or generators that need fuel, solar just keeps working, day after day, forever. My cousin runs a prepping YouTube channel, and he always says the same thing. Fuel runs out, batteries die, but the sun always comes back. He has a small solar setup, nothing fancy, just a portable panel and a power bank. During a 3-day outage last year, he was the only person in his building with working lights, a charged phone, and access to news. Neighbors were offering him food, tools, anything to charge their devices for just 10 minutes. Here's what people don't realize.
You don't need some massive expensive solar system. A simple USB solar panel, the kind you take camping, can charge phones, flashlights, walkie-talkies, even small batteries. And once the grid collapses, that ability becomes priceless. Think about the psychology of it. When everything's dark and silent, having a working phone means hope. It means connection. It means survival. People will trade heavily for that feeling of being plugged back into civilization, even for just an hour. Real example. During Puerto Rico's blackout after Hurricane Maria, solar became the new currency. People with small solar chargers could trade power for food, medicine, information. One guy I read about charged a person's phone for a half an hour in exchange for a week's worth of canned goods. That's serious value. And here's the beauty of solar. You can use it repeatedly. Unlike trading away food or supplies, you can charge someone's device, keep your panel, and trade again tomorrow. It's a sustainable income stream in a barter economy. Storage is minimal. Just keep panels dry and protected from scratches. Power banks should be charged every few months to maintain battery health. But beyond that, pure simplicity. Do you own any solar charging equipment, even a small camping panel? Drop a comment. I want to know who's actually thinking ahead here. Number 7. Strong work gloves, the forgotten essential. This one sounds boring until you actually need it. Picture this. The collapse happens. You're moving debris, chopping firewood, fixing a broken fence, handling sharp metal, or digging through rubble to find supplies. Within an hour, your hands are torn up, blisters, cuts, maybe worse. And now every task is agony. Everything you do requires your hands, and suddenly they're ruined. My dad is a contractor, and he always tells this story. After a tornado ripped through his town, volunteers showed up to help clear debris. Half of them had no gloves. Within 2 hours, they were done. Hands bleeding, covered in splinters, unable to continue. The ones with good work gloves, they worked all day and came back the next. In a collapsed world, your hands are your primary tools. They're how you build, fix, defend, and survive. Injuring them isn't just painful, it's potentially deadly. That's why tough, durable gloves become premium barter items fast. Think mechanics gloves, leatherwork gloves, heavy-duty rubber grip gloves, the kind that actually protect you. They're cheap now. You can grab a pair for $10 to $15. But after disaster strikes, when everyone's doing manual labor just to survive, a good pair of gloves could trade for food, tools, or medicine. Here's a story from someone I know who lived through the Bosnian War. He said gardens became essential for food, but without gloves, people's hands got destroyed from digging and harvesting. The families with gloves could work longer, grow more, and ultimately survive better. Some people traded family heirlooms for a single pair of work gloves. That's how valuable they became. And here's the thing, gloves wear out. Unlike a knife that lasts forever, gloves get holes, tear, and break down, which means there's constant demand. You can trade them repeatedly over time because people will always need replacements. Buy different types, leather for heavy work, nitrile coated for grip, even simple gardening gloves. Each serves a purpose. Store them in a dry place and they'll last for years until needed. How many pairs of actual work gloves do you have? Not winter gloves or those flimsy things from the dollar store. Real protective gloves. Let me know in the comments. Number 6. Safety and reflective gear. Visibility means survival. Okay, stay with me on this one because it sounds weird until you really think about it. Imagine the power grid fails. Not for a day, for weeks. No street lights, no car headlights after fuel runs out, no glowing signs or lit windows, just pure, complete darkness. Now imagine trying to walk anywhere at night. You can't see 5 feet in front of you, and nobody can see you. That's when a strip of reflective tape becomes life or death. My friend Sarah works in emergency management. She said during emergency response training, one of the biggest lessons is, if rescuers can't see you, you don't exist. That's why reflective vests, glow sticks, and safety gear become critical when everything goes dark. Think about it practically. You're moving through debris at night. A rescue team is searching your area. You're wearing reflective gear, they spot you from 100 yards away. You're not, they walk right past you. Or imagine a community trying to stay organized during a blackout. Glow sticks mark safe paths. Reflective tape shows where water stations are. Vests identify volunteers or security. Suddenly, these cheap hardware store items become essential infrastructure. Here's a real story. During the 2011 Japan earthquake and tsunami, relief workers said one of the most valuable items was glow sticks. They didn't need batteries, lasted for hours, and could mark safe areas, signal for help, or calm frightened children in the dark. People were trading food for them. But here's the flip side, and this is important. Sometimes you don't want to be seen. Maybe you're moving quietly at night. Maybe you need to avoid drawing attention. That's why smart gear is removable or attachable. You control when you're visible. The beautiful thing is, this stuff doesn't expire. No batteries, no maintenance. A box of glow sticks and a roll of reflective tape cost maybe $20 and lasts indefinitely. But in a blackout world, people will trade meals for them. Storage is dead simple. Keep them in a dry spot, away from extreme heat. That's it. And do you have any reflective gear or glow sticks stored at home? Even one vest or a few glow sticks? Comment below. I'm betting most people never even thought about this. Number 5. Notebooks and pencils. Old school, high value. I know what you're thinking. Really? Paper and pencils? But hear me out, because this one's deeper than it seems. Right now, everything's digital. Your notes are on your phone, your calendar's on your laptop, your recipes, contacts, plans, all stored in the cloud. But when the power dies and stays dead, all of that disappears. You're left with nothing but your memory. And let me tell you, when you're stressed, hungry, and exhausted, memory fails fast. My grandfather survived the Great Depression. He kept notebooks his entire life, tracking expenses, writing down lessons, recording information. He'd say, a short pencil beats a long memory every time. And he was right.
Think about practical needs during a collapse. You need to track supplies, record trades, write down medical information, map safe routes, leave messages for family members, teach kids something to keep them occupied. All of that requires paper and something to write with. Here's the genius of pencils. They never dry out. Pens die, ink freezes in cold, cooks in heat, and runs when wet. But pencils? They work in every condition. You can sharpen them 1,000 times. Drop them in water, let them dry, and they still write perfectly. A nurse I know who worked in Haiti after the earthquake said record-keeping saved lives. Tracking who got medicine, who was allergic to what, which water sources were tested safe, all done on paper because nothing else was available. And here's the barter angle. You're not just trading paper. You're trading memory, organization, and sanity. A parent wants a notebook for their kid to draw in. Suddenly, their child is calm and distracted from the chaos. A community leader needs to track rations. Your notebook becomes essential. A medic needs to record treatments. Your paper is worth medicine. You can buy a box of pencils and a stack of notebooks for almost nothing, then split them into small bundles, 3 pencils and 1 notebook per pack. That's dozens of high-value trade items from a $20 investment. When's the last time you used an actual pencil? Can you even find one in your house right now? And do you have waterproof notebooks? Comment your answer. Let's see how old school prepared we are. Number 4. Feminine hygiene products. Critical and overlooked. All right, I know some of you might feel awkward about this one, but we need to talk about it because it's legitimately important. Half the population, about 50% of humanity, has a biological need that doesn't stop just because society collapses. My sister is a social worker who's been in disaster zones. She said one of the most heartbreaking things she witnessed was women making makeshift pads from torn clothes, paper, anything they could find. Why? Because feminine hygiene products ran out immediately and nobody thought to stockpile them. Here's what people don't understand. These products aren't luxury items. They're dignity, health, and basic sanitation. Without them, women can't work effectively, can't move around safely, and risk serious infections. During a crisis, these items become absolutely essential. And they're versatile beyond their primary use. Pads can work as makeshift bandages, absorb water, or even help filter liquids in emergencies. Tampons were literally developed from medical supplies used to pack wounds. They're compact, sterile, and highly absorbent. But here's the trade reality. These products can't be improvised well. Unlike food you might forage or tools you might craft, you can't just make feminine hygiene products from scratch. Once stores empty out, the supply is gone. Period. No pun intended. A nurse I know who worked in Haiti after the earthquake said record-keeping saved lives, tracking who got medicine, who was allergic to what, which water sources were tested safe, all done on paper because nothing else was available. And here's the barter angle. You're not just trading paper. You're trading memory, organization, and sanity. A parent wants a notebook for their kid to draw in. Suddenly their child is calm and distracted from the chaos. A community leader needs to track rations. Your notebook becomes essential. A medic needs to record treatments. Your paper is worth medicine. You can buy a box of pencils and a stack of notebooks for almost nothing, then split them into small bundles. 3 pencils and 1 notebook per pack. That's dozens of high-value trade items from a $20 investment. When's the last time you used an actual pencil? Can you even find one in your house right now? And do you have waterproof notebooks? Comment your answer. Let's see how old-school prepared we are. Number 3, fishing line and hooks, quiet protein supply. Food is the ultimate survival need right after water. But here's the problem. Hunting is loud, uses ammo, and gets harder as animals scatter. Farming takes time and space. Stored food runs out. But fishing? Fishing is quiet, renewable, and requires almost nothing. A spool of fishing line and a handful of hooks can literally feed someone for months. And the best part? They're tiny, lightweight, stupid cheap, and last forever if stored dry. My uncle grew up poor in a rural area. He said their family survived lean times because of fishing. He'd say, we could always get protein from the river. Didn't need money, didn't need much skill, just line, hooks, and patience.
Here's what makes this brilliant for barter. It's endlessly divisible. Buy a 500-meter spool for $15. Cut it into 50-meter sections. That's 10 separate trade items. Hooks come in boxes of 50 or 100. You can barter a few at a time. Everyone wants the ability to fish, even if they don't know how yet. Real example. During the Venezuelan crisis, people were starving in cities, but those who moved near water and had fishing gear could eat. I read stories of families trading whatever they had left for fishing supplies because it was the only reliable food source left. And fishing line isn't just for catching fish. It's multi-purpose gold. Use it for sewing and repairs, stronger than thread, setting snare traps, hanging tarps or shelters, tying down gear, even makeshift tripwires for security. Stock different sizes, light line for small fish, heavy duty for survival rigs. Keep them in sealed bags away from sunlight and moisture. They'll last decades. The psychology here is powerful too. People feel helpless when food runs out, but give them fishing gear and suddenly they have hope. They have a way to provide for themselves. That hope? That's worth trading heavily for. True story from my friend who went through Hurricane Katrina. Fishing became the primary food source for communities near water. People who had gear shared catches with those who didn't. But having your own line and hooks meant independence, control over your own survival. Here's my question. Do you have any fishing supplies stored? Even just a basic kit? And have you actually used them? Comment below. I want to know who's really ready. Number 2, salt and seasoning packets. Tiny packages, massive value. Salt has literally shaped human history. Wars have been fought over it, trade routes established for it, entire economies built around it. Why? Because it's not just flavor, it's preservation, it's health, it's survival. Let me explain something most people don't know. You can't survive long-term without salt. Your body needs sodium to function. Without it, you get muscle cramps, weakness, confusion, and eventually cardiac issues. It's not optional. It's biological necessity. But salt does so much more. It preserves meat and fish, letting you store food for months without refrigeration. It cures hides for leather. It can even disinfect wounds in emergencies. Throughout history, salt has been worth its weight in gold. And in a collapse, it will be again. My grandmother canned food her whole life. She'd say, sugar is nice, but salt? is survival. She kept massive bags of it stored. During lean times, salt-preserved meat fed their family when nothing fresh was available. Now, add seasoning packets, pepper, chili flakes, bouillon cubes, soy sauce, dried herbs. These transform bland survival food into something people actually want to eat. And that's critical. Morale matters. When you're eating rice and beans for the 50th day straight, a little spice makes all the difference. This is a story from someone who lived through the Bosnian War. He said people would trade nearly anything for salt or spices. Not because they were starving, they had food, but eating flavorless meals day after day broke people mentally. Spices brought back a sense of normalcy, of civilization. The genius of this prep? It's insanely cheap. Buy bulk salt, 25-pound bags cost maybe $10. Grab condiment packets from restaurants or buy bulk seasoning online. They last forever if stored dry. They weigh nothing, they take up no space. For barter, they're incredibly flexible. You can trade a tablespoon of salt or a single packet of pepper. Or bundle them, salt, pepper, bouillon cube, and chili flakes in a small bag. That's a high-value trade pack that costs you pennies but could get you food, tools, or favors. Real talk. In Venezuela, during hyperinflation, people said salt and spices became more valuable than money because money was worthless. But salt? Salt kept food safe and made life bearable. Storage is simple. Keep it dry. That's it. Salt doesn't spoil. Spices lose potency over time but remain usable for years. My challenge? Check your kitchen right now. How much salt do you actually have? How many seasoning packets? And is it enough to last your family for even a month? Comment your answer. Let's see who's really prepared. Number 1. Tobacco and chewing materials. The uncomfortable truth. Okay, here's where I might lose some of you, but we need to be honest. Throughout human history, tobacco has been one of the most reliable currencies in crisis situations. Wartime, prison economies, disaster zones. Even if you personally hate smoking, you can't ignore the economic reality of demand and addiction. My grandfather fought in World War II. He said cigarettes were worth more than money in some situations. Soldiers would trade rations, supplies, even personal items for a pack. Why? Because when you're stressed, scared, and everything feels hopeless, people crave comfort. And for millions of people, tobacco provides that. Look, I'm not here to debate the health impacts. We all know smoking is bad. But this isn't about morality. It's about understanding human psychology during crises. When the world falls apart, vices become valuable. People want escape, relief, something familiar when everything else is strange and terrifying. Here's the brutal reality. Smokers don't just casually want cigarettes. They need them. Nicotine withdrawal is real and miserable. During a collapse, a desperate smoker will trade heavily, food, fuel, tools, information for a single pack. I've read accounts from every major disaster. Cigarettes become gold. A friend who's a corrections officer told me that in prison economies, cigarettes are literally currency. They're divided, traded, and valued more consistently than anything else. Why? Because they're small and easily divisible, non-perishable, high demand, and universally understood value. You don't have to smoke them yourself to profit from stocking them. That's the key. You're not supporting a habit, you're recognizing economic reality. When comfort disappears from the world, demand for it explodes. Chewing tobacco, pipe tobacco, rolling papers, even nicotine gum, all have similar value. They store longer than cigarettes, don't need fire to use, and serve the same psychological purpose. Keep them vacuum sealed in a cool, dry place, and they'll last years. Real story from Venezuela? During the worst of the crisis, a pack of cigarettes could get you a week's worth of groceries. Not because tobacco was rare, it was about what desperate people were willing to trade. That's the power of understanding human nature. Here's something to think about. Coffee is similar. It's addictive, caffeine, it's comforting, and it provides a sense of normalcy. Instant coffee packets are lightweight, cheap, and have massive trade value. Same psychology, slightly more socially acceptable. I'm not telling you to go buy cartons of cigarettes, but I am telling you to understand that human psychology doesn't change during disasters. Comfort, habit, and addiction don't disappear. They get stronger. And the person who can provide relief becomes powerful in any barter economy. Final question, and be honest. Does this make sense to you? Would you consider stocking items you don't personally use if they had strong trade value? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is the most controversial item on the list, and I want to hear what you think.